Andiamo a visitare casa di Emily. Benvenuta! E se hai capito bene, oggi stiamo andando a far visita ad una mia amica che ha vissuto anche lei qui a Playa del Carmen e le chiederemo anche qualche informazione sulla sua vita qui, ma soprattutto anche sull'appartamento dove vive, quanto l'ha pagato, come l'ha trovato, quindi tutte informazioni utili per chi vuole magari trasferirsi in Messico. Eccola qui ed eccoci arrivati! Ovviamente se è la prima volta magari che capiti su questo canale, io sono Michela e mi sono trasferita qui in Messico l'anno scorso. So today we are here with Emily and first of all, Emily, thank you so much to open the door of your house for us. And yeah, I think that the best way to start is just introduce yourself, why you're here in Playa, what are you doing, who are you, whatever you want.
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm a nomad and I travel the world whilst working, so I kind of get the best of everything. I have been traveling for over 5 years, a bit on and off during these sort of pandemic times. But I'm in Playa and I've been here for 3 months, although I'm heading off shortly back to the UK, which is where I'm from.
Unfortunately for me.
Yeah, that's the sad part. So I work online and I am a coach and I'm also a storyteller. So I do a lot of writing with words and such forth. Yeah, that's kind of what I do. But yeah, that's me.
Mm-hmm. Sì, poi se volete vi lascio comunque tutte le sue informazioni nella descrizione del video, così potete anche spulciare un po' tutti i suoi lavori e il suo profilo, che è sicuramente interessante. Continuo a parlare in inglese così Emily ci può capire. We are here in your apartment and we are not like in the center of Playa del Carmen. You can like tell us a little bit about this area if you like it and how do you find it also?
Of course. So when I got to Playa about 3 months ago, I didn't know where I was going to stay. I had a hotel room back right up in Centro, really near Avenida 1. So I really didn't know the place at all. So I knew that I wanted somewhere that I could rent for the time that I was in Playa, because I was going to be here for 3 months. So that kind of time, you really do need a place to live.
For sure.
But I didn't really know anyone here or anything. And so I thought I needed to network. That's what I always do. When I get to a new place, one of my first things that I do is I want to find friends. Because they're the people that actually really know what's going on in the place. And they often have the best connections. And that's how I found this place, actually. I went to a ladies' brunch a few days after I arrived, and this is where we met.
Exactly.
And I asked the table, and I just said, guys, I'm looking for an apartment to rent for a few months. Does anyone have any connections, any suggestions? And someone at the brunch was like, where I'm staying is a bit further out from Centro, but it's nice, quiet, clean, and simple, and I'll give you the number. So I was like, wonderful. I also got a number from somebody else as well. They weren't sure there would be any space, but you really do sort of like need to put as many sort of ideas out, connections out there. And I messaged the person who's the manager of this apartment and said, look, I'm looking for somewhere. And she said, come down, have a look. She gave me the address and I realized it was actually quite far out of town. So where we are is 82nd Avenida, which is, it's in Colosio, is that how you say it?
Colosio in the...
Colosio.
Yes, in the
Which
Colosio area.
Is sort of like the park net just outside Centro. So it is a good 20-30 minute walk into the centre of town.
Yeah. Or like 10 minutes by
bike, right? But the really advantageous part about this is that it's quieter. It's much quiet, right? So there's just not very many tourists out here. But it's also quite close to the beach, and we only have the groves, the mangroves between us and the beach. So there's a really good beach access if you like that. And there's something quite unique about Playa, is that there is the 5th Avenue runs all the way through Centro, all the way up to where we are. And it's like paved and stuff, so you could just cycle, walk really easily, and it just makes a really good access point. So for me, these were all things that I was like, that's great for me. I really want all these things. But of course, not for everybody. Some people, they really want to be in the middle of town. They really want to be in it so that they can access all the events and like bars and stuff. But because I'm staying longer term, I think 3 months is considered a reasonable amount of time. I knew that I just needed somewhere that I could call home for a little bit. So that is one of the reasons why I came here.
And I also think that like visit the apartment as you did, it's the best thing to do, because you can also like check the area, if you like it, if you feel safe, how is like the neighborhood, that is very important here in Mexico. And for example, Colosio is considered like a sort of quite dangerous area of Playa, but honestly here on the 5th Avenue, so the part that is closest to the beach, it's not dangerous at all. I mean,
there's anytime you go to another country, it's always really important to be aware of like what's going on in the local community. You know, you can't just walk in and assume that everything's the same or functions the same. There's just completely different culture and like communities here, and you really just need to be aware of what's happening. So as you said, you know, if you went a bit further away from 5th, you know, 10, 15, 20, you're really getting into the local area, and it might not be as safe for you as a foreigner. And I think you just have to be really aware of that. You know, I don't mean to judge or anything, it's just being that sort of common sense.
Exactly.
But I've walked home 9, 10 o'clock at night, just down 5th Avenue, and felt absolutely safe. You know, it's just being aware of yourself. So that wasn't a big problem. And I think there are many places that are coming up to rent along this area. So it is a growing area, and I think over the next few years, it will continue to become a nomadic sort of hotspot, this kind of area.
And Emily, we already talked a little bit about this, but let's go a little bit deeper, maybe. So you already said that you are a digital nomad, so you travel really a lot in the past year. And we already gave a lot of tips like to how to find an apartment. Do you have like other general tips that you can give to somebody that want to rent a place for the first time and in a foreign country?
Absolutely. I think a lot of people use Airbnb. That's become quite a simple way because you can book before you get here. But the problem with Airbnb is that they tend to be quite overpriced, and especially in high season, you know, the number of apartments will go and like prices will rise, and you'll actually kind of probably be paying over what you should. So instead, I think if you do come and arrive and book yourself a place just for a little while, and then go out on the ground and make connections, or even if you just walk down, there's signs everywhere and you can just message and go visit the apartments, you're going to get a much better rate. So this apartment here, just for context, in high season is 14,000 pesos, which, you know, for some people that's quite expensive, but actually when I looked at it, that included all electricity bills. So I don't have to pay anything outside of that. And that is just the price I pay. So I thought that was really fantastic.
It's a very good deal. I mean, Emily also arrived here in Playa in the high season in January. So it was really, really hard in that period to find an apartment. And also the prices were like so crazy expensive.
And as you'll probably see in this video, this apartment is quite new. Everything's brand new. It's a contained area that we're within, which adds another level of safety. This apartment has its own Wi-Fi, so it's only me on it, which if you're working online, that's really quite important to have as stable as possible.
And how is the Wi-Fi here? It's good?
I would say it's pretty, I've heard horror stories of people coming to Mexico and trying to work, and yes, I've experienced a couple of outages here and there. There was a big storm about a month ago, and that cut, that's the only time I lost it for a few hours. Other time it's just been once or twice, it's just gone out and come back a few times. But overall, it's really good Wi-Fi that's really strong, so I can have video calls quite regularly. So
okay, so you can work without any
problem. Absolutely, I highly recommend it. So that's all included as well. So For me, it was really worth the price, especially being on Fifth. That's really something. And the view on top of the building is just amazing.
Ooh, yeah, exactly. We want to go there.
We will show you. But there's a little pool, great view of the beach. And that's just something that's quite, you don't get that everywhere in Playa, especially if you're further in Centro, because there's so many buildings towards the beach. It's just obscures the ocean.
Yeah, or if you get it, it's like very expensive. The
Very expensive.
Because it's considered like a sort of luxury.
Absolutely.
To have it.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Oh, one more thing is that when you're renting a place like this, it's most likely, because it's not Airbnb, you have to put a deposit down. So I had to put down 1 month's deposit for this place when I paid. So overall I paid 28,000 pesos, but I signed a contract for the months that I'm here and I just let them know when I was leaving and I'll get that back when I move out. E facciamo qui una brevissima pausa solo per collegarci un attimo a qualche video fa, il video di Giacomino. Se te lo sei perso te lo lascio qui in un link. Ecco, Emily ad oggi che sto caricando il video ha già lasciato Playa del Carmen e ti posso confermare che la cauzione il giorno prima di partire, quindi il giorno che ha lasciato l'appartamento, gliele danno completamente ridata. So it's kind of very much like the traditional rentals, but there's no of the check, there's no like references or anything. It's much more like relaxed and I kind of prefer that. But for me as a long-term traveler, this is the best way of going about it to get what you really want. Yeah, and also I can say that you were really lucky to find this place as well, because usually, I mean, we know that here it's so hot, the weather, and usually the electricity it's not included in the rent because everybody uses a lot of the air conditioner or AC. Oh, the fans and like absolutely. So this is a really good place. Really good deal. I know in low season there's a few more apartments here, but in high season it was absolutely blocked out here. So it was a real find of mine. But I think a bit of perseverance and just meet people and just ask on the groups. But in person, people tend to they meet you and they tend to be a little bit more helpful. I can't explain it, but just that human connection makes them much more likely to sort of be able to help you. Yeah, human connection is always the best. It's really important, I think, as a nomad. Okay, so I think that we can have a look at your apartment. Absolutely. Okay, let's go. This is the kitchen that actually comes fully stocked. So when I moved in, it had plates, it had the cooker, it had kettle, because I'm British. For your tea, of course. Toaster, little oven. So you could just move in. This is my work table. So I travel with sort of a little desk set up that I can then just use and just find somewhere in my apartment to work. And this is where I do work from, but I also go out to cafes and things. But it's good to have that here. Yeah, at home as well. In Mexico, it's not advisable to drink the water all the time. Yeah, not at all. Tap water, no. So only once a week I get a bottle, which is 50 pesos. Really easy to get. You can just talk to the manager. So anytime I go to a place, I try to make things a little homely, little bits from home, and just, I don't travel a lot, but it's nice to sort of spread out a little bit. This place comes with a small bathroom, but it's got a lovely shower, little space that you can section off. Okay. And then there's a little vanity area with shelves for cleaning up, freshening up, which is great. This is kind of a one-person place, but I think two people could live in it if you're in a relationship. Like a couple. But I found when I had a friend to stay that it was quite a lot in one space. So if you're quite busy, I think two is fine, but it is a good space for one person. Metto un attimo in pausa Emily perché voglio dirti un'altra cosa che secondo me è abbastanza importante, ossia questo tipo di appartamenti che in Italia noi chiameremmo tranquillamente monolocale, qui invece sono chiamati studio o estudio, quindi è bene secondo me saperlo per non confonderci magari con i nostri studi professionali invece che abbiamo in Italia. And then the bedroom. So, lovely double bed with a side table.
Metto di nuovo un secondo in pausa Emily e spero mi perdonerà. Ma volevo farti notare un'altra cosa che secondo me può essere utile, ossia prova a notare le dimensioni del letto. Ti sembra un po' strano, vero? Perché non è né un singolo né un matrimoniale, eh? E sì, qui in Messico le misure del letto sono diverse dal nostro italiano, perché questo è un letto alla francese, anche se in realtà secondo me è un filino più piccolo comunque del letto alla francese, ed è considerato negli Airbnb, negli hotel, in tutte le strutture, ecco, tranquillamente come un letto nel quale possono dormire due persone. Il letto invece che noi consideriamo matrimoniale in Italia, ti dirò, anche in tutti i viaggi che ho fatto qui in Messico non ho mai trovato un letto della stessa dimensione del nostro matrimoniale italiano, ma ho trovato soltanto questa tipologia o direttamente il matrimoniale, però il king size, quindi quello comunque ancora più grande del nostro letto matrimoniale.
There is a comfy reading chair that I requested. So this is the kind of place where if you want a couple of different things, you can just put your questions and they can see if they can respond to that, which I think is quite an unusual.
Yeah, it's pretty unusual.
Pretty unusual. So
You're lucky.
And then just wardrobes with hanging space and drawers. So much storage here, which I think is really fantastic. Yeah. There's storage up here as well. And then lastly, there's a cute little balcony that has some little chairs, just where you can come out. And there's a next door house is there.
This is so nice.
Yeah. Final thing is just there is air conditioning and a fan in both rooms to manage the temperature. Both
of them really important.
Really important.
Here in Playa.
But yeah, so that is my home. Thank you for...
E lasciamo il monolocale di Emily per andare a vedere la terrazza panoramica. Come puoi vedere non c'è l'ascensore perché saliamo su per le scale e l'ascensore non è una cosa che tutti gli edifici hanno, quindi ecco, se per te è una cosa importante ti conviene chiedere prima di prenotare. Ma sì, si vede già una bella vista qui dalle scale. Ogni piano ha la sua area comune per magari socializzare anche con gli altri abitanti del palazzo, perché no? E siamo quasi arrivati. So here we are. Ed eccoci arrivati finalmente anche in terrazza. Questa è la piccola piscina di cui ci aveva accennato prima Emily e in fondo si può vedere appunto il mare separato da questo piccolo tratto di vegetazione. E mi spiace che questo panorama non sia fotogenico perché in realtà dal vivo è 1000 volte più bello.
One last thing.
E mentre seguiamo Emily che ci sta per mostrare un'ultima cosa, ti chiedo di prestare attenzione al ragazzo che apparirà fra poco alla tua destra. Eccolo qui, sì, proprio lui. E mettiamo questa volta in pausa proprio questo ragazzo perché secondo me è l'esempio perfetto del classico nomade digitale che potrai trovare praticamente su quasi tutti i tetti di tutti gli edifici di Playa del Carmen, ma non credo soltanto di Playa del Carmen. Ossia un ragazzo in bermuda con le sue infradito, a dorso nudo, che sta lavorando però allo stesso momento è anche pronto a farsi una pausa per un tuffo in piscina. E direi che questo è un nomade digitale davvero in versione pro, avanzata, perché come vedi è veramente super attrezzato, anche la sedia appunto da ufficio, ha anche tutta l'attrezzatura per lavorare a computer, quindi cuffie, microfono eccetera, e questo dimostra che appunto non serve per forza un ufficio per poter lavorare, ma si può davvero lavorare da dove vuoi, come vuoi. Oh, this is so useful. This is a wash machine. Have you ever used it?
Once. In Mexico, there's a lot of wash.
Lavanderia?
Lavanderia. At places you can drop your washing off, and for under 50 pesos. There's one just around the corner from here. And there's also a little local shop just around the corner, so you can just get some bits and pieces regularly when you don't want to do your sort of big shop, which is further into centro.
Ok.
That's it. That's the place.
That's the place! Sì, questo è il posto dove Emily ha vissuto quando è stata qui a Playa del Carmen. E mentre torno a casa percorrendo la Quinta Avenida, questa volta al contrario, ti chiedo come sempre, se il video ti è stato utile, di lasciarmi un mi piace, e se magari anche tu, come me, stai pensando di trasferirti in Messico, allora ti consiglio di iscriverti al canale per rimanere così aggiornato sui prossimi video.